Hi, in today's video I'm going to be covering how to install MPD with systemd socket activation on Nixos and Home Manager. So you've got Nixos and Home Manager installed, which are covered in a previous video. So what we're going to do now is edit our .config nixpkg home.nix configuration file, and we're going to come down to the services section here that we've got defined, and what we're doing is adding a new block of code in here. MPD equals enabled true, music directory equals music, network start when needed equals true, and that will enable the systemd socket activation, and we'll find the path of the socket in a second. Then what we've got down here is extra config, and this will basically add these options to the MPD config for your user, and we're setting the audio output to be pipewire. And then further down here, what we've got is the actual MPD package that we've got installed. So we install the package and we activate the service. So the next step is actually finding the location of the socket. So if we have a look at ls run user 1000 MPD, you'll see the path to the socket. So if you have multiple users on your Nix system, you may have a different socket location. So check what your UID is for this. Should be 1000 by default. This is the location of the socket. So what we need to do is add this to a couple of places. So what we're going to do is, first of all, add it to our ZSH env file. So what we're doing here, you may not need to do this, but I just do this out of habit, exporting the MPD host. So MPD host equals run user 1000 MPD socket, and that's in our ZSH env file. Next, what we need to do is also add a bit of code to our ZSHRC file, and come on, you little bugger, where are you? There we go. So what we're going to do is create an alias for MPC. MPC is the client application to use with MPD, and when you use MPC rather, what you have to do is specify the host that is going to connect to. So rather than typing MPC -- host equals run user 1000 MPD socket every time, what we're going to do is define an alias so that whenever we type MPC, it will do it automatically. We whack that in our ZSHRC file, and the final thing is actually configuring our MPC client, which in my case is ncmpc. Open this up, and what we've got here is host equals run user 1000 MPD socket. So that's the location of the socket. Once you've done all of that, you've done a home manager switch to set this up, I'd recommend just doing a reboot so that all the systemd services and everything are started. Probably not needed, but I always do it out of habit. Once you've done all of that, you can then run ncmpc, and you'll see it's now connected. Q on run user 1000 MPD socket. We come to browse, and we have all our music down here, which I'm not going to play because of copyright reasons. So not too difficult to get set up. First of all, what I tried doing was just copying over my existing configuration for MPD, which used the socket, and that didn't work. So I had to do a bit of detective work, but there's no MPD directory here. You can see it's not storing the configuration that we set in the home.nix file in a MPD directory in XDG home like you'd normally expect. So you don't get an actual directory with a config file in the usual location, but it still works, so that's not a problem. So quick recap. So first of all, home manager, config, Nix Home Manager, came down here, this block of code, which is from the Nix wiki. So that's the block of code we want to enable the service. MPD, enable true, set the path to your music directory, start when needed to set the systemd socket activation, extra config to use pipewire, and actually installing the package down here. So that was home.nix, and again zsh env mpd host, export mpd host, the zshrc, the mpc alias down here, and finally for our ncmpc our MPD client, we add in the path to the socket down there. So if you're using something different, I think ncmpcc actually has options you can set in Home Manager to add the config, but I'm not sure that ncmpc does. So that's why I'm setting it manually, doing my .files manually, opposed to in the home.nix config. So that's all there is to it. And once you've done that, let's say MPC will work down there. MPC list music, yep. So you can see MPC is working as well. So everything working out the box, not too difficult to get set up. So again, all you need to do, whack the stuff in Home Manager config, add the options to your ZSHRC and ZSHMV and your MPC client, do a Home Manager switch, reboot, and you're good to go, and you'll have music working on NixOS. So that's all there is to it. Obviously you've got to find your music, but not too difficult to set up, only takes a few minutes, and you're good to go, and it'll have MPC playing out of Pipewire instead of Pulse Audio. So I'll put links to all this under the video, and that's all for now.